Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email us Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase pricing and availability questions concerning this watch. Today we're discussing a little bit of a revival. For 2025, the reborn Daniel Roth brand has revived one of its original early 1990s models. The Extra Plat automatic came out in 1990, and about a year later, a manual wind variant that was thinner still debuted. That variant, called 2167, C167 variously, is here, brought back to life with a movement now created by in-house La Fabrique du Taupe in a beautiful rose gold case. Now, there are two different versions of the reborn Extra Plat. One is the subscription piece. That's 20 pieces in yellow gold. It's got a different dial and gold that is yellow. This is gold that is rose and white. It also features blue numerals rather than black, and of course the souscription features a solid case back rather than the display. So for a lot of folks, this rose gold model is going to be preferable on an aesthetic basis alone. In terms of how large it is, it's very close to the original, though it is thicker. 35.5 from side to side, not including the crown in rose gold. You can see that the watch really 5N red gold. 8.1 millimeters thick as I measure it, and then 41.8 from lug to lug with a 20 millimeter spacing between the lugs. I have a lot of experience with early Daniel Roth pieces, and while they are beautiful, I'll say that the one notable shortcoming that I feel on every single example is the shape of the original lug. So that is one of the elements of the case that has been revised on the new Daniel Roth watches, and to good effect. On my 16 centimeter circumference wrist, the 5N red gold variant of the Extra Plat wears beautifully. The lugs have a little bit of curvature to them, and you can see how far inboard of the edge of my wrist those lugs are. Even over the top, pulling the strap tight, this is the angle that always exaggerates the width of the watch. No such compromise here. This will fit on a wrist likely as small as 13 centimeters circumference, making it true to the early 90s sizing, unisex viable. And although maybe not as flat as the original, it is quite a bit finer and still very, very thin, sliding underneath any kind of a cuff. A lovely sort of sand beige calfskin. You can see that it features sheer cut sides, lacquered for refinement, a wonderfully buttery smooth leather on the bottom, Daniel Roth branding. You can see that in order to drill the lugs close to the case, both for aesthetics and for a short wrist fit, but then also to ensure there's no impediment to the motion of the strap, a curved spring bar is used. There is a buckle right here, which is Roth branded and features a little bit of a fluting on its outer face, otherwise fully polished. The case is handsome and the lugs are welded on. This is the most important aspect of the case construction because this is a complex junction, and to build the case and the lugs separately, insert the lugs into a socket in the case, weld them together, and then file away the gathered material from the weld to create these super sharp breaks. It's difficult to do on a conventional case with flat surfacing, but with this gadroon that runs all the way around the mid case, it becomes more complex still. This is a beautifully handmade case. And once more, the lug profile here is so much more elegant and so much easier to wear than the original Roth watches. You can see the ellipso-curvex form of the case echoed in the design of the crown, unbranded and yet branded at the same time. The crystal is completely flat and flush, and then we have a dial that features guilloché en ligne from top to bottom, and that is white gold. And then the center disc, or maybe we should call it a donut because there's a hole in the middle. So the donut, if you will, featuring the time tracks, that features a filet sauté. So you can see it's sort of like a dental pattern outboard, as they would call dental molding in architecture. That is filet sauté. Now, it is a double gold dial, both white and rose. You can see the hands, Roth style, very distinctive of the brand's dials from the early days. And this guilloché solid gold dial is done in-house at La Fabrique du Taupe. If you're familiar with the reborn Daniel Roth tourbillon from the last 2 years, well, that was a Complemine Cadran fabrication. This is actually done in-house at Fabrique du Taupe, which is now formidably vertical in its integration. You can see on the back now, instead of the original Frédéric Piguet movement from the early 90s, we have a movement designed by Barbassini and Navas at La Fabrique du Temps, and it is a beautiful caliber, perfectly sized and shaped for the case. It's thin, 3.1 millimeters thick, and then you can see that it is properly sized and shaped to hug the contours of the case. This is what happens when you design a movement specifically for a case. So it's approximately 28 millimeters wide and approximately 31 millimeters from top to bottom. Manual wind, 4 hertz beat rate, 65-hour power reserve. You can see 6-position adjustment, one more than a standard chronometer, 21 joules. And then we have a free sprung balance. You can see the variable inertia eccentric screws on the rim for all the fine tuning of the timing. But you can see there's also a set screw that allows a little bit of change to the regulation by that means as well. Decoration is excellent and quite a bit better than the early 90s. You can see we have solarization on the barrel, maybe some might call that snailing. And then we have solarization certainly on the ratchet wheel. The core of the ratchet wheel is mirror polished. You can see we also have some snailing around the rim of the crown wheel, and its core is polished as well. Bevels are big, broad, mirrored, and finished by hand. You can see that there are several different types of perlage or engine turning on the base plate in several different sizes. Screw heads are mirror finished with chamfered slots in circumference, and both the screw and the jewel sinks are mirror beveled. We have 1, 2, 3 sharp interior angles where bevels meet in a sharp crease. And if you're familiar with Laurent Ferrier watchmaking, a lot of this is going to be quite familiar because most of the Ferrier movements were designed and their finishing quarterbacked by La Fabrique du Temps. All this is 30 meters water resistant, so dress watch levels, splash and rain exposure only. You can see a 4 hertz beat rate, so no gimmicks are played to get that 65-hour power reserve. And then we have that lovely distinctive compound click and click spring used by La Fabrique du Temps. The winding action is, in a word, superb. And then there's even subtle beveling and interior angles within the center wheel and the other wheels of the train. Beautiful. If you love this watch, it's destined to remain rare. The Daniel Roth brand is being curated by La Fabrique du Temps and by the Arnault family themselves, who have taken an interest in the revival of Roth and Gerald Genta, so it is in good hands now and for the long term. Reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.